You think you know how Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, don't you? The image is clear in your mind. A tragic night at Ford's Theater, John Wilkes Booth slipping into the presidential box, and with one fatal shot, history changed forever. But what if I told you that the story we've all been taught isn't quite the whole truth? That there's a side to Lincoln's assassination that's been buried, overlooked, or perhaps even deliberately concealed? Let's take a step back to April 14, 1865. The Civil War had just ended, and the nation was beginning to heal from the deep wounds of division. President Abraham Lincoln, the man who had led the United States through its darkest hours, decided to spend a relaxing evening at Ford's Theater. He was watching a popular play called Our American Cousin, a rare moment of joy and relief for a man who had borne the weight of the nation's survival on his shoulders. But, as you know, that evening at Ford's Theater didn't end in joy. What was meant to be a night of entertainment quickly turned into a national tragedy. John Wilkes Booth, a well-known actor and fervent supporter of the Confederacy, was determined to make a statement for the Southern cause. He had been plotting for weeks, fueled by his deep-seated hatred for Abraham Lincoln and his belief that the president's death would revive the Confederacy's dying hopes. Booth was no stranger to Ford's Theater. As an actor, he knew the layout of the building intimately, which allowed him to move through it with ease. Armed with a small pistol and a knife, Booth made his way to the presidential box where Lincoln sat enjoying the performance with his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, and their guests, Major Henry Rathbone and his fiancée, Clara Harris. Booth knew this would be his only opportunity to strike. Unaware of the danger looming behind him, Booth took a moment to steady himself, raised the pistol, and aimed it at the back of Lincoln's head, just below the left ear. The shot rang out, a deafening crack in the otherwise jubilant theater. Lincoln slumped forward in his chair, mortally wounded. The bullet had entered his skull, causing catastrophic damage to his brain. Booth, after shooting Lincoln, engaged Rathbone in a brief struggle, during which he slashed Rathbone's arm with his knife. Then, in a dramatic flourish befitting his stage career, Booth leaped from the presidential box onto the stage below, reportedly shouting, "Sic semper tyrannis," a Latin phrase meaning, "thus always to tyrants," the motto of Virginia and a rallying cry for those who viewed Lincoln as a tyrant. Despite breaking his leg in the fall, Booth managed to flee the theater, escaping into the night on horseback and setting off a manhunt that would grip the nation. This is the version of events that we all learned in school, a dramatic, almost cinematic story that has become an indelible part of American history. It's a tale of heroism, villainy, and the tragic loss of a great leader. But here's where it gets interesting. There's more to the story than what meets the eye. As straightforward as this account may seem, the reality of what happened that night and in the weeks leading up to it is layered with complexity and intrigue. Booth's actions were not those of a man acting on impulse. They were the culmination of a meticulously planned conspiracy involving multiple co-conspirators and a broader agenda aimed at destabilizing the Union government. The more we examine the events of that night, the more we realize how much more there is to uncover beneath the surface of this well-known tale. For decades, the accepted narrative was that Booth acted alone, motivated by his hatred of Lincoln and his Southern sympathies. However, this story has been increasingly challenged by historians who believe that Booth was part of a larger conspiracy with far-reaching implications. The evidence suggests that the plot to kill Lincoln wasn't merely the act of a disgruntled actor, it was a coordinated effort to decapitate the leadership of the Union and destabilize the U.S. government at a critical moment in the nation's history. John Wilkes Booth wasn't the lone wolf we've been led to believe. He was the leader of a larger conspiracy, one that aimed not just to kill Lincoln, but to cripple the entire Union government. The original plan wasn't solely focused on Lincoln. It also targeted Vice President Andrew Johnson, Secretary of State William H. Seward, and other key government figures. Booth's co-conspirators included Lewis Powell, who was tasked with killing Seward, George Atzerodt, who was assigned to assassinate Johnson, and David Harold, who assisted Powell and Booth. Had the plan succeeded in full, the United States might have plunged back into chaos with its leadership in disarray. The war had just ended, and Lincoln's assassination could have ignited new hostilities. What's even more startling is the evidence that suggests Booth may have received assistance from powerful figures, both within the Confederacy and possibly even from sympathizers in the North. Booth was a known Confederate sympathizer, and his hatred for Lincoln was well documented. Some historians believe that Booth's plot was more organized and supported than previously thought. There were connections between Booth and Confederate operatives, and some evidence suggests that the Confederate government may have been aware of, or even involved in, the plot. The idea that Booth acted with the backing of powerful interests adds a layer of complexity to the assassination. Moreover, there's speculation that some elements within Lincoln's own government were not entirely opposed to his removal. Lincoln's policies, especially his views on Reconstruction, were highly controversial. Not everyone in the government or the Republican Party was thrilled with his vision for a post-war America. Exploring the different accounts of the assassination, including witness testimonies, provides further insight into the mystery surrounding Lincoln's death. Numerous people witnessed the assassination, each offering a unique perspective on the events. One of the most compelling accounts came from Major Henry Rathbone, who was in the presidential box with Lincoln at the time of the shooting. Rathbone struggled with Booth after the shot was fired and was severely wounded. His testimony, along with those of others in the theater, helped to piece together the timeline of events leading up to and following the shooting. Recent research has shed new light on how Abraham Lincoln was actually shot, challenging and debunking some common misconceptions. For instance, one of the enduring myths is that Booth used a sophisticated firearm to kill Lincoln. In reality, Booth used a small, single-shot Derringer pistol, a weapon that was outdated even by the standards of the time. This choice of weapon suggests that Booth was supremely confident in his ability to get close to the president and escape afterward. Furthermore, modern forensic analysis has examined the nature of Lincoln's wound and the trajectory of the bullet. The results confirm that the shot was fired at close range, consistent with Booth's position just behind Lincoln in the theater box. The angle and path of the bullet have also been scrutinized, leading some researchers to theorize that Booth may have practiced the shot extensively to ensure its lethality. Another area of ongoing research involves the role of Dr. Samuel Mudd, who treated Booth's broken leg after the assassination. Mudd's involvement has long been a subject of controversy, with debates over whether he was an innocent bystander or a knowing participant in Booth's escape. Recent evidence suggests that Mudd may have been more deeply involved in the conspiracy than previously acknowledged, with some historians arguing that he was aware of Booth's intentions and willingly aided him. The assassination of Abraham Lincoln was not just the tragic end of a great leader's life, it was a pivotal moment in American history, one that continues to be studied and debated more than a century and a half later. The various theories and revelations that have emerged over the years underscore the complexity of the events surrounding Lincoln's death. What was once thought to be the simple act of a lone gunman is now understood as a multifaceted conspiracy with deep political and social implications. As historians continue to explore the hidden truths of that fateful night, the story of Abraham Lincoln's assassination grows more intricate and fascinating. While some mysteries may never be fully resolved, the ongoing research and discoveries ensure that this chapter of American history will remain a topic of enduring interest and importance. If you found this deep dive into the mystery surrounding Abraham Lincoln's assassination intriguing, don't forget to like the video and share it with others who love history. There's so much more to uncover, so be sure to subscribe to our channel for more historical revelations and fascinating stories from the past. Your support helps us keep exploring the hidden truths of history.